But now they're all things you've been told will help you live longer, help you lose weight and whatever. And we're going to refer you today to this book. This book is called Spoon Fed, right? And as you see there, the byline is why almost everything you have been told about food is wrong. It is Professor Tim Spector is the author behind all of this. Professor, very good to have you on board this morning.
Good morning.
So, Professor, is this a diet book or is this a health book or what is this? What do you want to get across in this?
Well, it's all and none of those things, really. I wanted to write it to really correct many of the falsehoods that have been around for a while and have even been taught to me as a doctor and a medical student. And I think it's really important more than ever that people understand some of the basic truths about what we're eating, the foods, the diets, and correct so many of the myths that are out there that are facing us every day when we go to the supermarket and we look at labels and we look at foods.
Why do you think there is so much misinformation then?
I think, firstly, we have a vacuum because we don't have a strong food culture in the country, and we don't have the grandmothers teaching us what we should be eating, as they do in, Italy and Spain and France. And also, we eat more ultra-processed food than any other country in Europe, and this junk food and snacking is something that's now become part of our culture. So the food companies have got very big, very strong, and they are distorting a lot of the research about foods, while the research really hasn't been very good. So the government's not putting money into nutrition research as it should, and this has left this real big gap. And the person that is, and it's the public that are being hit with the problems.
Get all that, Professor. And where this man is very interesting, viewers, is that there are a number of things that you think that you should be doing, and he's saying you should not be doing. Breakfast is one of them, Professor. Tell us why you're not a fan of breakfast.
Well, personally, I love breakfast, but for many people, it actually makes them put on weight. And so there's about half the population that would probably do very well by skipping breakfast. And we've been told that the breakfast is the most important meal of the day for the last 100 years by breakfast manufacturers. And it simply isn't true. And that studies have shown that if you have the same amount of food, but broken into 2 meals on 3, most people will actually be better off and healthier and lose some weight.
So that's like the overnight fasting, is it? So you don't eat after 8 p.m. and you don't eat before 10 a.m. or something?
Yes, it's called restricted time eating. And the idea is you give your gut a rest. And this can be done every day or even just once a week is a good idea, to give 14 hours for your gut and your gut microbes to have a rest overnight. And that means not eating all the time. And obviously this goes against what the food companies want us to do. They want us to eat all the time, but the scientific evidence is showing the opposite is true. So we should be compressing our eating times, and so starting later and finishing earlier to give it a rest.
Okay. Well, look, we have a few things to get through here, which I think will impact, or people will have a view on. Calorie counting, you're not a fan of that either?
No, it's the biggest oversell in history, really, the calorie. No calorie controlled diets have ever worked long term. You can't measure it accurately. Most of the labels on foods are only accurate to within 20%. And these new ideas in restaurants, they're even worse, plus or minus 50%. And calories in doesn't equal calories out. And everything you eat, depending on how you cook it, how it's prepared, what time of day you have it, really doesn't add up.
But surely fewer calories is going to make you lose some weight. Surely that my brain is going, well, the less calories I eat, as in the less amount of food.
And the more exercise you have.
Yeah, but even without exercise, just fewer calories in surely is going to help lose weight.
Yes, and obviously we know if you starve, you don't have calories, therefore you lose weight. But the idea that you can measure it accurately, that you can go and every day tick off those calories. And because the reason it doesn't work is that A, they're very hard to measure, and B, everyone has a different requirement. The idea that women only have 2,000 calories is complete nonsense, because our recent studies of the PREDICT study have shown that everybody's different. Everybody's unique in how many calories they need and how many calories they burn. And so the idea there's one guideline that fits everybody is also nonsense. So yes, chips have more calories than spinach, but base your choice of food on calories rather than the quality and the ingredients is basically nonsense. That's what I'm trying to get hold of, because we're obsessed with looking at labels about low-calorie foods, low-fat foods, low sugar. We should forget all that and start eating properly. And if we do that and eat better and at the right time, then we can all be much healthier and lose weight.
You sound like my mother, to be quite honest. That's the sort of thing she said. It was interesting you were talking about the wisdom of previous generations and the simplicity of their lives and how they cook fresh food and how there was less processed food in their lives, because basically none of us generally didn't get fat until the 1970s. Fair enough?
That's absolutely right. Yes, that's when it all went wrong, really. And when I was at school, there just weren't any fat kids. Now 1 in 3 kids are fat, and I think it's the culture also of snacking as well, continually eating, and this the idea that when you do snack, there's no such thing. Many people believe a healthy snack, because you should wait like they do in Southern Europe for their main meals and eat those properly rather than constantly graze. And the idea we were told about 20 years ago was that eating a little and often was better for you. And it turns out that data was based on about 10 people 30 years ago and is complete rubbish.
What about exercise, Professor Spector? We're always told it's not just about the amount of food you eat, it's about how much energy you're expending. And we're all told exercise, 3 times a week, cardio exercise. Do you believe in that?
Well, I believe in exercise is good for you and reduces your risk of many diseases. But what it doesn't do for 90% of people is make them lose any weight, because it simply changes your metabolic rate so that it will slow down. So you might burn some calories exercising, but afterwards your body's resetting again, and your body's basically slowed down to such an extent that just having a biscuit with your tea will probably wipe out all that exercise.
I thought that was I'm not disputing you, you're a professor. I thought that was the opposite way around. I thought exercise was supposed to increase my metabolic rate, and then that therefore was burning fat even when I was resting. Is that completely wrong?
Yeah, that's a fallacy, really. And gyms like to tell people that's what's happening and you're burning all this fat. But the reality is that, and these watches that tell you how many calories you've burnt and therefore you can go and have a donut, they're simply not true in real life, because we just haven't been able to measure how much people burn very well, and it's still a problem. And everyone burns at a different rate. So I'm not saying nobody can lose weight exercising. I'm just saying that we shouldn't be using these average figures. Many people will get worse. So the only way to lose weight really is to focus on the food and the diet and the timing of your food, and don't depend on exercise, although exercise is great for us.
Thank you very much indeed. Professor Tim Spector, who's an epidemiologist at King's College. He's a specialist in microbiome nutrition. I think that's gut health and all that sort of thing we're hearing there. Thank you very much indeed. Very wise words there from the professor, that obviously I don't need to be doing any exercise.
Yeah, but you don't eat whole bags of Skittles.
No, it's not that. I mean, I was wrongly thought that grazing, as you may have seen in the fridge last night, there were 2 6-packs of Bounty somebody had put into the fridge. And I'm thinking grazing on those throughout the...
Slowly, through the day.
Slowly, through the week. Even I wouldn't do through the day.
Oh, right. Well, I don't know.
Mightn't have been. I thought that was like fibre I was getting, fruit and veg. Is coconut not a Fruit.
Well, in its natural form.
All right.
Yeah, not with the chocolate on the top.
OK, well, look, there's interesting spoon-fed is the professor's book, and he says why almost everything you have been told about food is wrong. So it's not so much dieting he's talking about food and what's in it and how strong the food lobby is and why the government seem to listen to them and why everything is your fault, really. Let us know your view on that.